Good afternoon, and welcome to another one of our interviews for our Black History Month City of Hartford Leadership Interviews, The Soul of Service. I am Karen Taylor, and I am the Director of Equity and Opportunity, and I am so excited to be joined by Cecelia Drayton, who is our Director of Sustainability for the City of Hartford. How are you, Cecilia?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for agreeing to talk with us and to share more about who you are and what has brought you to the City of Hartford and to this really incredibly important work that you're doing. So, Cecilia, just to start, can you tell us a little bit about your hometown and your family of origin?
Yeah, my hometown is in Haverhill, Massachusetts. It's on the border of New Hampshire and Massachusetts near like the beaches. So it's about 40 minutes outside of Boston and 2 hours from the White Mountains. And I was born and raised there. My dad had immigrated from South Carolina and established a home base up there. And my family, most of us were born and raised there as well.
Interesting. And your mom is from where?
My mom's from Baltimore.
Okay, so South Carolina
Hmm.
and Baltimore.
Yes.
Any siblings?
Yes, I have. I am one of nine total. So plus myself, that's 10.
One of nine. Shout out to your parents. Where do you fall in the birthing order? I think sometimes that impacts how people interact and lead.
Yes, I'm the eldest on the younger half. So if you count backwards and end at number five, that's me. So technically a middle child, but I feel like that's a better way to say it.
The eldest of the youngest half.
Hmm.
I love it. Okay, wonderful. So, how long have you worked at the City of Hartford and what attracted you to this position?
I started in June of 2022. And I've been a part of, I've always worked multiple jobs. And at the time, I was looking around for a different job. I was working at a company called L'Arche, and they work with adults on with developmental and intellectual disabilities. So I was kind of on boots on the ground in one organization, and then my other organization, I worked for Lido. So I was kind of at a 10,000 foot view, and we would implement utility programs that served low to moderate income residents. So I was looking for a place where both of those viewpoints kind of met. I was looking for an intersection of like process and people. And so when I wanted to see something full circle, I wanted to see something from what was happening on the ground to how programs were planned and implemented. And although I did find the job description for Hartford, I feel like it kind of found me because that's exactly what I was looking for. So it kind of came for a full circle moment. I was working remotely in the state of Illinois, but as soon as I saw Hartford, I applied and I'm sitting here today. You're on mute.
Awesome. So, thank you so much. It's my favorite thing to do to talk on mute. People who know me know I'm always talking on mute. So, can you tell us a little bit more about maybe your educational background, other jobs that you worked that have kind of led you here? I think that part of this interview series, what we want to do is just to let people know that the people who are leading your city are just like you, right? Like they have the same sort of like goals, aspirations. They've had kind of indirect career paths that have landed them in leadership. And so if you could share as much as you are able to about your educational background, jobs you've worked previously, we want to hear it all, even if it was waiting
Okay.
tables or like we want to hear everything.
Yeah. I guess I'll start with educational background. I have a degree from upstate New York. Shout out to SUNY for landscape contracting and also plant science. And then my master's degree is from the University of Denver, and that's in environmental management and policy. And I specialized in energy and sustainability. And when you look at the sustainability umbrella, like even just in our climate action plan, we have energy, we have waste, we have water, we have landscape and food. The past jobs I've had, like I've kind of been a jack of all trades, and I feel like this kind of fits nicely into sustainability. Some jobs I've had were being a stonemason in my early days on landscape contracting crews, to working a retail nursery, to working for energy implementers. So it kind of falls nicely within the sustainability umbrella. So you can just all of your skills just could kind of converge into this role. So in addition to that, there were a lot of like green roofs and living walls that we did. So when you think of our climate action plan and where is all the stormwater going to go, things like that are really helpful to have knowledge of because you can apply them to various situations to kind of help achieve the objectives in the office.
Well, that's incredibly impressive. I feel as though I don't know as many people of color who have careers that are linked to sustainability, right? But it is kind of like one of the most critical issues of our day when we're thinking about people and planet connection, even health for both of those, people's
Mhm.
health, planet's health. And so in many ways, I'm looking at you as a pioneer in this space, but I don't think that I've ever met another Black woman who is leading in this area of sustainability. So we're really, really honored to have you at the City of Hartford and to have a person who has such a, I say green thumb, green heart, right? Like a heart for climate and sustainability because it is such a critically important question for the health of our future in general,
Yeah.
our physical health as people.
When I was in school, now you see a lot of sustainability degrees popping up everywhere. But when I was coming up through my higher education, there weren't any degrees that kind of specialized in this until later. I'm talking about between 2006 and 2009. So even just the coursework I took, I was in a class of majority just male dominated everything. So I feel like I strongly encourage, especially people of color, to seek out those spaces because I feel like the more highly specialized you are in a field like this, the doors just open and paths just open for just about anything.
And this is so inspiring. Even this morning, I was watching something that was posted from the Connecticut Forum, where they have timely conversations about sort of social issues and world issues. And one of the things that was said was that if we want to be able to solve massive global challenges, that we have to use the full brain power of humanity and how important diversity and inclusion is in that space. And I was like, wow, like this really is connected to everything.
Mhm.
So, Cecilia, how do you think that your work is either making or contributing to Black history in the city of Hartford or otherwise?
I feel like the work I do, which is predicated on the feedback we receive from our residents. I feel like in the work I do, it's a place for them to voice what they would like to see and what their priorities are. And I feel like that's probably the foundation of our office is like we don't move a muscle until we have that community outreach and engagement, until we have those conversations and putting our residents who are mostly people of color at the forefront of those conversations kind of paves the way for historical things to happen in this office. And it's not us alone, it's just us collectively. And I feel like that's what contributes to what Hartford is and what the Office of Sustainability is here.
Awesome. That's awesome. I love that you are sort of like an engine for community voice to be elevated, particularly around issues that relate to climate and into sustainability. So that's really, really inspiring. And I can definitely see the connection in terms of how you're not just making an impact as an individual, but you are helping to elevate the community members to be able to create their own history within their city and what it looks like. Um, what do you find to be the most meaningful thing about your position and serving residents?
I feel like the most meaningful is probably the impact. And I mean impact in two ways. Like you can have impact from the way a program is designed, but designed with impact in mind is I feel like something that people overlook. And it's not just a siloed operation. I feel like that's most touching because when you design with impact in mind, it's the breadth and the depth of what you're doing. It's not just how many people did you talk to, how many people were enrolled in a program. It's kind of like what else kind of came out of that as a snowball to what you had. So how many people had retained the rain barrels and saw less flooding in their basements? How many people are going to sign up for our one of our initiatives, which is to plant trees so they can have just a decreased energy bill overall in the long run. So I feel like that type of impact is what really just makes it special for me.
I love that. I love that because I don't think that people are really considering how sort of like these broad jobs, right, or broad roles in the city are impacting their everyday individual quality of life. So you're talking about lower utility bills, and you're talking about probably better quality breathing air, right? I also
Mhm.
recently saw a study about how the number of trees in a neighborhood impacts the property valuation. So, I mean, so all these things are intertwined, and they aren't things that we're necessarily thinking about on a daily basis. But we got somebody like you who's helping us to do it, right? Thinking through those things and helping us to implement um, and improve the quality of lives for residents. So that is super duper exciting and definitely something that is a major intrinsic reward for you, I'm sure.
Yes.
Awesome. Tell us more about what ties or connections do you have to Hartford? So, like, why is Hartford meaningful to you? Maybe, like, what are some of your favorite places in the city? Maybe green spaces. I would love to hear more about that.
Mhm. Mhm. So when I first got here, I would drive past Hartford, but not necessarily come into Hartford to explore. So I feel like my favorite thing to do with with people who have lived here for a while is to definitely drive around and see the different neighborhoods. Like I have a map and Hartford has specific neighborhoods. I want to know what makes that neighborhood the neighborhood. I want to know beginning to end, why is it the way it is, who lived here, what has happened here. So that's like one of my favorite things to do. I just got finished exploring some behind the rocks and then some areas of the Southwest that I find very pleasant. And every neighborhood is like very unique and different. So I enjoy that about Hartford. I enjoy the uniqueness. I enjoy that people are very proud of their neighborhood that they come from and the just overall community. So I do appreciate that. As far as green spaces, that'd be really hard to pick. And maybe this is not a green space, but I went with Charmaine Craig to our wood yard and I saw how the wood was kind of just given a new life and where it's stored and what are the plans for it. So I feel like seeing like a system that operates in Hartford from beginning to end is something that I really love to see. So I know this is not a green space, but that wood yard at Keeney Park, it was one of my favorite spaces. I love all the parks in general, but I think I like the views where I can go to like the top of a building and look down over the city. I think that's probably like my favorite thing to do because it kind of just centralizes everything and you can kind of feel the connection from there. So I would say that. And yeah, just hopping around from restaurant to restaurant. I think when I first got here, everyone who I met, I was like, now what? Tell me 3 restaurants that you would recommend because I only Googled like bubble tea and pho before I got here. That was all of the research I had time to do. So just Hartford as a whole, like everything it has to offer is just exploring what's out there. It's something that's great. And I just one other thing that just recently happened also is we went to the Ebony Horse and I thought that place was great because coming from like an agricultural background, I used to muck stalls in high school, so I thought that was like a full circle moment. And I enjoyed being there.
Yes, Ebony Horsewoman is one of my favorite spots in the city too. You know, it's the equestrian center, what they do there. So shout out to Patricia Kelly and all the work that she does there and Miss Dami. And I mean, just literally taking kids and giving them the opportunity to have hands-on experience with,
Mhm.
first of all, the animal-human connection, critically important for people's mental health and well-being, but also just learning the actual nuts and bolts of how to run a space like that. My kiddos have gone and they come back complaining about, shoveling hay and manure, and I love that for them.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful that for them to be able to have that
Mhm.
experience. But you said the wood yard is also one of your favorite spaces. Can you tell us more about like where it is and what happens there?
Yeah, so it's by Caney Park. It's a part of their operation, and they take trees that have, when a tree falls and they have to cut it down, the the residual or anything that it could be used to be milled goes there. So we recently wrote a grant for everything about trees, really. So board feet can be produced from trees, and mulch, and just anything that would produce a product from wood. That's generally the consensus of the wood yard. And we had submitted a second grant to actually fully fund and staff that wood yard. So just to see, like again, the end-to-end process from beginning to end, I like to see it, touch it, feel it. So I know it when I go to like put it into a grant or a program or to even write about it. So if you see me around Hartford touching things, that's just what I do.
You're touching because you're about to kick some stuff off and ask for some money to improve
Right.
quality of life and climate and sustainability for folks. We like that.
Mhm.
Get out and about and touch around the city. I love that. Um, Thinking about green spaces that have been critically important. I really love like the boathouse in Riverside Park and
Mhm.
that area, how you can walk, all the way downtown and then back again and end up by the water. I actually have a favorite tree there. So
Gee, oh.
definitely, it's where I go to I shouldn't tell people, but it's where I go. It's where I go to like reconnect with myself, and it has just been such an important space. And as you're talking, I'm thinking about the ways in which even in an urban area, these sorts of things can just be so calming for us, right? You're in traffic and you're running around the city and you're hopping a bus and but
Mhm.
Hartford has some really great green space when you're thinking about Keeney Park and the golf course that's there, or Ebony Horsewomen that's, literally some of the folks from Ebony Horsewomen, they patrol Keeney Park, right? So like there's that connection. You got Herb and his sustainability, um, is it the sustainability project that he has running over there in Keeney Park, and he's
Mhm.
giving away the free corn and the squash in the fall. We have some really great stuff that's happening, and even thinking about Goodwin and its golf course, and just a lot of beautiful green space across the city. So
Yeah.
super duper um honored and happy to be able to have that and have a famous park designer who did all that in the city of Hartford for us. So
Okay.
um, yes. Cecilia, what actually made you want to get involved in a career in sustainability and climate, particularly since you weren't seeing a lot of women or even people of color in this space? Like, was it something that you were interested in always as a child? Is there some particular event that happened that drew you to it? Can you share
Yeah.
more?
Yeah, there was so I wasn't always in this field. I think I graduated in 2009 at the height of the recession, and I was going to get a construction job and do something there. That didn't happen because everything stopped, kind of halted. There wasn't really much being built at that time. And I was working at a commercial nursery, and then I was involved in an industrial accident there that put me out of work for 4 months while I was getting therapy and surgeries and treatment. And I'm still going through that process today. But during that time, I had a shift. I wanted to be in a place where my existence kind of made like a tangible difference for people. And I was trying to figure out where that was and where can all of my skills just kind of just be melded together. So that's when I decided to switch to the energy field. I remember, I feel like this is like an age-old story where people will just complain about their electricity bills, oil bills, gas bills. And I was just like, what's going on over here? So I always wanted to know that, and just energy in general. So it's not just electric energy. Like there's like energy that comes from plants or from gas or maybe just geothermal, just energy in general. I felt like was a place that needed some deep analysis and then application to the community. So I definitely wanted to alleviate some sort of burden in that area, and that's what made me gravitate towards more utility-centric programs. So I feel like that intentionality that time provided me with, that 4 years, was the reason why I got to be still and really figure out what I wanted and who I wanted to benefit in my life. It wasn't just like an upward trajectory that was just for myself, but I wanted to bring my people and other people with me.
That's really beautiful. I was listening to I'm always listening to something, clearly. There's an Ava DuVernay quote, and she says that if your dream doesn't include other people, it's not big enough, right? And so
Mhm.
I love that you're thinking about this because I know you and I know you're very practical. You're like, gotta get these bills down. But then you're
Yeah.
also like, I'd like to bring everyone along with me in terms of improving their quality of life
Mhm.
through this really important, critical social issue. Um, so, Cecilia, part of this interview series that we're doing is not just to uplift and highlight the leaders who are in our organization. It's also to encourage other folks who might be viewing this interview to say, oh, yeah, the city of Hartford or, a career in sustainability is absolutely a place that I could go and I could be successful and I could dream a dream that's not just for me, but it would bring other people along. What would you say to other people who are either considering working at the City of Hartford or who are considering a career in sustainability?
So we will start with working at the City of Hartford. So I feel like the City of Hartford is very unique because our residents speak their mind, which is so helpful. Other cities you might not find as I call it beautiful honesty that Hartford has, and just the experiences and the cultures that go along with it. So if you're thinking about working for the city, I think it's a go. There, we have an internship that we publish on Handshake. We get applicants from Utah, all over the country who want to come to this place to have an internship because Hartford is so much different than what they have been exposed to and then what we offer here. And it's not just like just highly philosophical work. Like we do community tours. We'll partner with organizations and see and delve into what they're working with. It's not just what's happening in this office. It's also what's happening out there. So I feel like if you're thinking about or would like to work for the city, I feel like this city in particular is a huge draw just because of all of its asset. And I think if you are looking for a career in sustainability, I always say if you feel a little scared and a little excited, then you're in the right place because it's not a clear and cut path, right? Everyone wants a sure decision, but you make it your own. You look within yourself and what you want, and that's what you go for. And that's how you mold and shape your own career in sustainability. And my career doesn't look like someone else's, but that's the beauty of it. That's like where you can be agile and just make your own impact in a special way because no one else is going to be like you. So I say go for it all around. And I just don't feel like anyone should be intimidated because we all bring different strengths and experiences and opinions and also science-based evidence that we believe in into this role. So I applaud if anyone who would like to come and join the career field. It's really exciting. And with the new legislation coming out, I feel like it's really timely for someone to be in sustainability. I feel like everyone who I work with in the industry who is on the right path. It's not really stagnant. We're all forging ahead. And I feel like this is a very exciting time to be in the fields right now.
Awesome. Exciting and very important, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For us to be working on these issues collectively and also for people in urban areas to be thinking about it very deeply and being really thoughtful about how we're collectively planning our futures. Cecilia, you are a joy. It is an honor to be your colleague. You are one of the most unique people that I've ever met in terms of your interest, in terms of your expertise, and we are just so happy to have you at the City of Hartford. And we thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with us. So folks can find internships on Handshake
Yes. Mm-hmm.
for sustainability,
Yep.
particularly.
Year round. Don't be shy, everybody.
Year round, don't be shy. Awesome. And also for folks who are interested in having a career at the City of Hartford, hartford.gov, you can view our listings. Always interested in having people to serve in this city, to build careers in this city that are based off of service. And we encourage you always to reach out. Thank you so much for talking with us this afternoon, Cecilia. You and your green heart working on sustainability issues in the great city of Hartford. And for folks who weren't able to join in on the Zoom early, no need to worry. We're actually recording these, so they'll be compiled and there'll be an archive of these interviews for people to view later. And at 1 o'clock today, we're also going to be interviewing Christina Baldwin, who is the director of the Division of Children, Families, Youth, and Recreation. I hope I said that in the right order. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon, Cecilia. Always a pleasure, always a joy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to serve.
Awesome. Happy Black History Month.